Okay, so previously we learned the character na, written like this. Well, these two components on the right are the character we're going to learn today, na. So we do this part again, hung, ja, go, and then we hung, and then the right hand ear thing again, shu. So just a reminder, this thing on the left is means fur or feathers. So this was probably the name of a city at one point, and the character was borrowed for the sound, for something that can't be depicted, that. And remember also, this is not the same as moon. Moon or month or even flesh. The left-hand side is written first in these characters, but not for that. So we don't want to do that. Let me show you again in the right way, just so we have it all squared away. Na, hung, ja, go, hung, pie, hung, ja, wan, go, hung, na. The next character, shu, originally means to write, now it means book. So I'll show you the traditional character first. It was a depiction of a hand holding a brush, writing two lines upon a sheet of paper. So that's pretty cool. So it's a depiction of a hand holding a brush, and then there are two lines that it's writing, and then there's the something that it was writing on. This is a shorthand version of that, not the right thing. So the simplified form is just a calligraphy version of that. So let's write it out in the simplified form. Hung, ja, go, shu, dian. The next character is our first example of a character, of a radical component that is used very commonly. One student called it the Dragonboat radical, or the Dragonboat component. It's actually a shorthand version of this, chua, which means to walk, or originally it's a foot. It also looks somewhat like the character for foot, or even the character for to walk. So you can see all of these, originally depicting a foot, all of them mean to walk, and you can see a kind of relationship here. The phonetic in this case is one, which may not seem to relate to this, but the traditional character uses this as a component, yen, to speak, which doesn't have any more to do with the idea of this than this does. So let's write out the simplified form. Dien, hung, pie, na. Dien, hung, ja, na. Ja. Okay, this next character takes off on the idea of plant. It means root or origin. We learned it as a measure word for books or written items, but the original meaning is root. So you can see a depiction of a tree, the branches and the roots. Modern Chinese, it's written like this. And in this case, we mark the roots. That's the important point. You do the same thing when you want to indicate the branches. But we won't deal with that now. Here is this character, hung, shu go, pie, na. Hung, bun, The next character is very simple, but it has an interesting story. Originally, it was probably this component, this kind of looking thing. This is a tamper. So ancient China, the Chinese all lived in cities, and very soon the cities needed to be filled with walls. So what I've drawn here is a form, like the forms they use in concrete. They would fill this with earth, and then they would tamp it down with something heavy like that, tamping down the earth, and then that would make the walls. Later they developed bricks for making walls, but that was the beginning. So this character means to work. Gong, hung, shu, hung. Some people think it depicts a carpenter's square that is square on both sides, but I think this other origin makes a little bit more sense. Hung, shu, hung, gong. The next character has two components. It means process. The components don't seem to relate much to that. You have a he on the left side. This means millet, from a depiction of the millet plant with its ear of grain hanging over. The right hand is a mouth. It's just phonetic. It's a mouth, and the bottom part is king. Didn't start off meaning that, but you can think of it that way, and it works just fine. So millet and speaking to the king, something about process. Actually, anciently, this probably meant amount, the amount of millet that was being measured. So, by extension, a process. Pierre, hung, shu, go, pierre, dian, and then the mouth, shu, hung, ja, hung, shu, hung, chung. The next character, nan. The traditional character is written like this, and this component on the left is phonetic, jian, and then we have the long-tailed bird that we've seen before on the right, nan. The simplified form replaces the phonetic with just this component, yo, which means right hand, and then we put the long-tailed bird. And I can remember that because it is difficult to catch a bird with your hand. Right hand, there's our bird. Okay, so let's write that out. Hung, pie, dien, pie, shu. Dien, hung, shu, hung, nan. Tai. Too or too much is a very easy character. It's got da. Now, da is the depiction of a person with their arms extended, so that would be a great person, greatness. More than great, you add a dot to it, that means tai. This anciently was sometimes pronounced die or tai also, so this just clarified the difference between them. What Wikipedia would call disambiguation. So we go hung, pie, na, dien, tai, too much. The next character, ke, is composed of the mouth component again. Do this part first, the mouth, and then this component. The thing on the right and top derives from this, qiao, which means all right or to give approval, to say something. It's just phonetic here, but the idea of approval is also relevant. When you write the character out, you start with the hung, shu, hung, ja, hung, and then this shu. Go, ke. The next one, gong, can also mean work. So there's this gong, but it's phonetic in this one. Gong has another component to it, and it refers to effort or a period of time of effort. The thing on the right, li, is effort or energy. It actually anciently depicted a digging stick, something like this. I think I don't have it quite right, but it was a hand plow or a digging stick. And there are some places where the digging stick has been used up until recently. It's just a hand plow or even a hoe. So that indicates the effort that's used to put into something. Gong. Time, effort, a period of intensive focus or study or work. Gong. The next character is ke, a lesson or one's lessons. So the the radical is yen, which we've seen before. Depiction of this in traditional characters, or that is a character in itself in simplified form. To speak, or words, deriving from tongue, as we've seen before, the tongue sticking out of the mouth. And then the right-hand side, guo, is phonetic. It means fruit. It depicts the tree. Got the branches, the roots, and then the thing at the top is the fruit. So that's phonetic here, but you can think of the speaking and practicing of speaking and of expressing yourself, and the fruit of which is learning or a lesson. I know that's kind of a stretch, but maybe it'll help you remember it. So to write the character, Dian, hung, shu, go, shu, hung, ja, hung, shu, go, I left that off, hung, pie, na. Now you can see what it looks like. Let me get the stroke order right. Dian, hung, ja, go, shu, hung, ja, hung, and then we do the next hung, shu, go, pie, na, ke. So gong ke, the effort you spent on a lesson, is homework. The next character, duo, is composed of two of these. Si, which means evening. So you have two of them. If you spend 2 evenings doing something you don't want to do, that's too many. Duo, many. Duo. The next one, men, is a plural suffix. So we have person, radical, to disambiguate it from gate, mun, or door. So we have the mun, depiction of 2 leaves of a swinging doorway, as we discussed earlier. And the renzapong coming out of ren, person, squeezed up to make a radical component. Pie, shu, dian, shu, hung, ja, go, men. Shao is few. So there's another character, xiao. This means small. So it's indication of a small thing. You have a very small stroke, and you're highlighting the smallness of it by showing the 2 strokes to either side. To indicate a difference between this and few, then another stroke is added to that. So xiao means few, shao means, xiao means small, shao means few. Notice it's not pronounced the same. So we start with the hung go or shu go, dian, pie, shao. End of lesson 4.